The dust of millennia settled in our lungs, each breath a taste of forgotten time. We were deep, far deeper than any previous expedition had dared to venture beneath the sprawling complex of Karnak. For weeks, we had followed an anomaly, a whisper on our ground-penetrating radar that didn't align with any known architecture. It led us down twisting, unrecorded passages, sealed not by rockfall, but by deliberate, meticulous hands. The air grew heavy, thick with an unnerving stillness. It was here, in a chamber that felt more like a prison than a sanctuary, that we found it. It wasn't a sarcophagus. It wasn't a canopic chest. It was a box, hewn from a single piece of obsidian black stone that seemed to drink the light from our torches. It sat on a simple, unadorned pedestal in the center of the room. The strangest part: there were no markings. No protective hieroglyphs, no curses for the grave robbers, no cartouche of a king or queen. In a civilization that inscribed every surface with meaning, its silence was a scream. It was a void, a deliberate statement of non-existence. This object wasn't meant to be forgotten, it was meant to have never been. Dr. Thorne, our lead epigraphist, ran a gloved hand over the impossibly smooth surface. "This is wrong," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "Everything about this is wrong. They didn't just seal this chamber. They tried to erase it from history." The local foremen, men who had grown up in the shadow of these temples, refused to enter the room. They huddled at the entrance, their faces pale, murmuring prayers to ward off spirits they claimed were guarding the place. Their fear was palpable, a cold dread that seeped through the stone and into our very bones. But we were scientists, driven by curiosity, by the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Fear was a data point, not a barrier. The lid wasn't heavy, but lifting it felt like defying gravity. It separated from the base with a low grinding sound that echoed like a sigh of release. There was no hiss of ancient air, no puff of dust. Instead, a light, a brilliant, impossible golden light, poured from the opening. It didn't illuminate the chamber, it consumed it, swallowing our torchlight and casting strange, dancing shadows that seemed to have a life of their own. We shielded our eyes, blinded by its purity. It felt warm, ancient, and profoundly intelligent. When our eyes adjusted, we peered inside. The source of the light was a single, fist-sized orb, floating a hand's breadth above the bottom of the box. It wasn't metal, not crystal. It pulsed with a soft, steady rhythm, like a sleeping heart. But it wasn't the orb that held our attention. It was what lay beneath it. Scattered on the floor of the box were not jewels or papyrus scrolls, but fragments of something else. They looked like shards of solidified light, each one containing a moving, freeze-dimensional image. Hesitantly, Reese reached in with a pair of insulated tongs and lifted one of the fragments. As he brought it into the open, the image inside expanded, projecting into the air between us. It was a city. But not a city of mud brick and sandstone. This was a metropolis of gleaming towers that pierced the clouds, of flying vessels that darted between them with silent grace. The sky was a different shade of blue, and two suns hung in it. The people, if that's what they were tall, slender beings with luminous skin. We were not looking at a depiction of Thebes or Memphis. We were looking at a memory of another world. We spent the next hours, or maybe days' time, lost all meaning in that golden glow, examining the fragments. Each one was a window. We saw star charts depicting constellations unknown to human astronomy. We saw schematics of technologies so advanced they bordered on magic. We saw the beings manipulating the very fabric of matter, creating and shaping life with casual, artistic intent. And then, we found the final set of fragments, the ones that told their story, our story. They were travelers, explorers of the cosmos. Their ship, a vessel of light and energy, had been damaged, crashing into a primitive, nascent world. Earth, stranded, they observed the fledgling life that was just beginning to crawl from the oceans. They saw potential. With their advanced knowledge of genetics, they decided to intervene. We saw them, these star people, standing in a lush, prehistoric jungle. They took the primitive hominins of this world and guided their evolution. They accelerated the process, spliced their own essence into the developing species, gifting it with self-awareness, with consciousness, with a soul. The Genesis myth, the stories of gods coming from the sky, it wasn't a metaphor. It was a fragmented memory. They were our creators. But the fragments also showed a schism, a terrible disagreement. Some of the star people believed their intervention was a violation, a corruption of a natural process. They argued it was a terrible hubris to play God. The others, led by a charismatic and powerful figure, saw it as an act of creation, of benevolence. The conflict escalated. The project, humanity, became the battleground. The final image was the most chilling. We saw the creators turning their awesome power against each other on the plains of our own world. The sky burned. The earth shook. It was a war of gods, a cataclysm that reshaped the planet. In the end, the faction that opposed the intervention won. But it was a Pyrrhic victory. Their home was lost, their numbers decimated, and their great work, humanity, was now set on a path they couldn't undo. They saw what they had unleashed, a species with the intellect and spirit of a god, trapped in the mortal, primal form of an animal. A species capable of incredible love and art, but also of unimaginable violence and self-destructs. They feared us. They feared what we would become when our technological prowess one day matched our divine spark. So they decided to disappear. They gathered their most dangerous knowledge, the truths of our origin and their technology, and sealed it away. They created a new religion, a new history for their children. They became the gods of myth, the phantoms in our stories, stepping back into the shadows to let their creation find its own way, hoping we would never uncover the secret of our own engineered genesis. The box was their final, desperate act, a time capsule of a truth they believed humanity was never meant to handle. As the last image faded, the golden orb in the box pulsed violently and then went dark. The chamber was plunged back into a suffocating blackness, our torchlight seeming weak and pathetic after the divine glow. The silence that returned was heavier than before, filled with the weight of what we now knew. We were not the masters of our world, the pinnacle of natural evolution. We were an experiment, an abandoned project, a legacy of a cosmic war. We sealed the chamber. We replaced every stone, wiped away every footprint, and swore an oath of silence. Some secrets are not treasures to be displayed in a museum. They are burdens. This knowledge doesn't ennoble humanity, it enmoors it. To know that our deepest spiritual beliefs, our entire history, was alike constructed to hide a terrible and beautiful truth: the world isn't ready. Maybe it never will be. I often look up at the night sky now, at the endless sea of stars. And I wonder, are they still watching? The gods who made us and then feared us. Do they see what we've become? And do they regret their decision not to create us, but to leave us alone with the secret of our own terrifying potential? The box is hidden again, deep beneath the temple floor, waiting. But the truth, once seen, can never be buried. It lives inside us, a silent, terrifying revelation. We are the children of the stars, and we are utterly and completely alone. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. If you're fascinated by the mysteries that lie hidden in the sands of time, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. There are always more secrets waiting to be unearthed.